What I'm here to talk to you about is the new ways in which young people are engaging with media, the skills that they're developing through that engagement, and how those skills can be better recognised and incorporated through vocational education. And ultimately what online participation and online engagement means, not just for our employment, but for our culture and our lives and our politics as well. But due to my lateness, I'm going to try and compress all of that in about 10 minutes. So it's some very broad, sweeping thoughts. I don't claim to be an expert at anything much, but I've been playing around with some ideas for the last little while, and so I'll share some of the thoughts that have come out of that with you, some of our successes, some of our failures as well, in the hope that you can perhaps take some of that and do something with it. A bit of background about me. I'm the founder and national coordinator of a not-for-profit youth media and arts organisation called Vibewire. I established Vibewire in 2000 when I was studying at the University of New South Wales. The motivation behind developing Vibewire was my belief that young people need great opportunities to express themselves on the issues and cultures that matter to them through the form that is most appropriate to them. So there's, I guess, two halves of that I think are really important. The first is that young people need expression opportunities, and I think that's fundamental not only as a skill-building exercise and a confidence-building exercise and a resilience-building exercise, but it's better because our entire community is predicated on our ability to talk to each other. Young people are more often spoken about than are spoken with or listened to. And so the work Vibewire does is trying to create opportunities for young people to put forward their own opinions individually about what matters to them, both on an individual and an identity level, but also around the kind of future they want to live in. And that has implications, if we carry that through, for all sectors of our society. If we can empower people to represent the kind of education system that they want to inhabit, then that education system will be much more responsive and much more suited to the needs of its students, its participants, than it would otherwise be. And it's the same with our entire society. We try and build projects that allow people to express themselves in a variety of forms, whether that's through giving speeches, writing non-fiction articles, or whether it's poetry or filmmaking, music or digital art. And of course, in all of those expression opportunities, there is skill building going on, both in terms of the technical skills of developing that expression outcome, whether that's a film or writing skills, but also in the personal self-confidence and resilience of the person involved. Our outcomes are not simply around social change to build a more democratic culture in Australia. That's our really big picture outcome, but perhaps the most profound outcome we have along the journey towards that outcome is the individual impact on young people who are involved in our projects. There's been some really interesting work done recently by Vic Health around what are the risk factors for mental ill health, particularly, well, for all sectors of society, but I guess the bit that I tend to focus in on most is young people and so on. And what they've discovered, and I don't think this will come as a surprise to anyone, in a way it's almost truistic, but that if you look at the risk factors for people, ending up in a place of negative health with a lack of resilience and antisocial behaviour and so on, that the key risk factor is not how old you are, your level of education, your level of income, whether you're from your ethnicity, your age, where you are geographically, it's your level of community participation. Your level of how engaged you are with your community, how much a full participant of the community you feel, is absolutely critical to people building the self-esteem, self-resilience and confidence to actually go forward and create a life that they want to lead. A lot of them believe, and fairly I think, that no one's really listening to them, that people don't really care what they have to say. And so therefore they're not a full owner of our community, they're not a participant within our community. They don't have that sense of ownership, and if you don't have a sense of ownership, then you have nothing to protect. It's not yours, it's other people's. And that's where I think a lot of apathy, alienation and active antisocial behaviour comes from. The way that people used to participate in their community used to be conceptualised as moral activity, and it used to be perceived more as a lifetime commitment. People used to get involved in political actions, and they used to perceive that as something that they did for moral reasons. Increasingly, these days, people are doing it for identity and cultural reasons. They're doing it because it's a community that they feel a part of and has a form of expression and participation within that community. And they conceptualise their involvement as a series of projects. Through those projects, young people are learning some really profound skills that can be recognised and used within our tertiary and vet education systems. They're not just about the actual raw communication skills, but they're about talking with one another, they're about translating information, they're about expressing yourself. And that is the key vocational skill of the current age, I think. In a world in which we're all going to change careers X number of times, I think I read 9 recently, 9 career changes we're likely to go through. then while the individual vocational skill set required for each of those is obviously really fundamental, one of the skills that you will carry through with you is your ability to communicate. And that's becoming, I think, increasingly important in every area of our economy. And it's through participation through media. It's fundamentally focused around building communication skills and telling people that their communication matters, that their voice matters. I just want to end, though, by saying that I'm not a total techno-utopian either. I don't think these things happen simply on their own. I don't think we can sit back and say that technology is simply through the march of progress going to, wipe away all our problems. I want to tell you a little story about a technology. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Not so very long ago, there was a new technology, a new communications technology hit the scene. It was originally came out of defence funding, and then some scientists in our university started getting really excited about it. And people in the community started thinking about what are the social implications of this technology. At much the same time as businesses were starting to think about what are the commercial applications of this technology. Here are some of the things that were said about the technology. They said the new medium could be the most wonderful public communication system imaginable, a gigantic system of channels capable not only of transmitting but of receiving, not of isolating the user but connecting them. Users of this technology would leap around the world and wipe out for all time the age-old barriers of race and language and distance. It would give the public access to information to let us see through the rhetorical tricks of politicians, so government would become a living thing to its citizens, and this would give us a new kind of statesman and a new kind of voter. That all sounds really familiar, right? That's a lot of the rhetoric we hear at the moment. All those quotes are from the 1930s, and they're talking about radio. So these things don't happen on their own. Technology doesn't automatically bring about a better connected world, a better democracy. It's the conscious and intentional use of that technology to those ends that will bring those about. And that's for all of us who care about the future, the young people's participation in our future, not just in terms of their skills, but their full participation as citizens within a democracy to interpret and participate in defining what that future will be, that we need to use this technology in the way that it was originally designed for, which is to connect people to each other and to let them talk, before it became overrun by e-commerce and mainstream media, big brand stores and so on. So lots more work to do, but a lot of exciting opportunities.